Oh, that's 90 days since the last Absent Atlas upload. I wonder what could have taken up all her free time.
You'll never see it come back.
Hi everyone. It's been a while since we last talked. Truth be told, the last couple of months I have been pretty busy with finals, summer school, and yes, another new and super cool hyperfixation.
No, you're not a gamer. No. You are not a gamer!
I even got to attend my first ever protest, one for Palestine. It was actually an incredibly rewarding experience. But enough about that, let's talk about the news. The other night was the first US presidential debate of 2024, and
with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look.
He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said.
Oh my god, we are so cooked. And before we talk about the debate, I did want to draw attention to something very important. The state of Israel is continuing to commit genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza. 38,271 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th, including over 15,000 children. That's a statistic that the U.S. House of Representatives is actively trying to censor, by the way. Please consider taking a look at some of the organizations in the description if you can spare a few dollars. These are organizations actively working to provide aid to the over 1.7 million displaced Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Obviously, if you can't donate, that's okay. There are also some links with information on other ways to help and educate yourself on the conflict that you might want to consider taking a look at. Thanks. And back to the video.
Look, the fact is, we don't look. Here's the deal, and this is no fooling. There are 10 billion Guatemalans attacking the Lincoln Memorial right now, folks. Deploy the National Guard, I said, Joe Brandon, do it.
Twitter shitposting aside, I mean, this debate truly was something. Like, the 2020 debates were absolutely abhorrent, don't get me wrong, but this debate was like if a freight train crashed into a semi-truck, but the semi-truck was carrying a nuclear warhead. Joe Biden walks up to the podium, he opens his mouth, and what comes out just sounds like absolute death. He can't even string together half his sentences. Then the moderators ask Trump a question about abortion, and then Biden gets the opportunity to respond. The moderators, they're throwing the biggest softball of all time to Joe Biden. His opponent literally got Roe v. Wade overturned. This should be the easiest clapback of all time for a Democratic candidate. And you know what Biden starts talking about? An undocumented immigrant murdering a woman. What the actual fuck? The worst part is, I think the worst part is just the way he stares off into space with his mouth open like he saw the Grim Reaper coming for him. Meanwhile, on the other side of the stage, there's Donald Trump ranting about the millions of illegal immigrants invading our country and killing everyone, saying some of the most insanely racist shit ever said on national television. That's essentially all his answers to every question he gets asked is just racism. What are you going to do about Social Security? The immigrants are using up all our Social Security. What are you going to do about childcare? The immigrants are taking all our tax credits. Our child tax credits. Do you condone the political violence on January 6th? On January 6th, our border was the most secure it's ever been. God, please shut the fuck up. He also said the quiet part out loud, and that Israel were the ones who didn't want the ceasefire. In the same breath, also saying that Netanyahu should finish the job. He called Biden a very bad Palestinian, but of course no one in the media gives a shit because the establishment doesn't consider Palestinians human beings. Oh my god, I can't fucking do this anymore. Anyway, that's basically what happened on Thursday night. Truly incredible stuff. What a joy it is to be living in the greatest country in the history of the world. Thank you, Electoral College, and thank you, Dollar Democracy. Immediately after the debate ended, the Democratic establishment fucking ran around like headless chickens. I mean, CNN was fucking eviscerating Kamala Harris on national television. All MSNBC could talk about was replacing Biden with a new candidate, and the entire New York Times editorial board wrote articles telling Biden to drop out of the race. Democratic analysts, donors, campaign staff, congresspeople, the whole thing, all freaking out, talking about how incredibly fucked they are. But of course, Biden is stubborn. The next day, the Biden campaign announced that they had no intention of dropping out of the race. Because when have establishment politicians ever taken what the people want into account? Democrats always fearmonger about how this election could be our last and then decide to run the most unserious candidates possible. The Democratic Party is such a joke. So, I mean, pretty concerning stuff all around. It's incredibly frustrating that we always end up choosing between two absolutely god-awful choices every election year. But of course, this is the byproduct of dollar democracy, Citizens United, the Rashid Effect, Ronald Reagan. Like, you have to understand that these politicians are bought and paid for, and they're really only different on a couple of wedge issues. And only the politicians with the most fundraising power, best connections, and best organizational capabilities get elected. I think it was AOC who said it best when she said that America isn't a democracy, it's an oligarchy with democratic moments. The idea that voting is all it ever takes and that we could vote our way out of the crises generated by capitalism is ludicrous. You can argue that voting can be harm reduction, and obviously voting on races down ballot is essential, but it needs to be combined with outside political action such as organizing in your community, joining unions, boycotting, court watching, and all that stuff. Anyway, that's all I have for today's video. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like or subscribing. Also, please consider checking out the links in the description to support the people of Gaza. Thank you all again so much for watching. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.